I hope that this what if will not have a frosty reception. Hey guys, MasakoX here. With What Ifs, you can cover a wide variety of topics and explore different facets of different characters and situations. For example, in our What If Such and Such Turned Good scenarios, we usually see a character who never became a good guy, but then could have chances to change their tune in ways that would best suit them, instead of just shoehorning it in via artificial and disingenuous means. Something that could actually happen and something you can go, you know what, that seems reasonable, it makes sense. As a result, it means that you can get behind it and thusly become invested. That's what happened in the What If for Freeza turning good, but this time around, we can change it up a little and talk about something that did happen in Dragon Ball Super with Frieza's Universe 6 counterpart, Frost. What about him, Masako? Well, aside from this shot of two bulked up icelings, which I somehow find utterly hilarious even to this day, I wish to discuss something that was alluded to in the Universe 6 tournament. Frost, when we were first introduced to him, initially seemed like a generic copy of Frieza, only more blue. However, when we got to see him a little more, we had some kind of fascination towards him. He was very respectful and courteous like Frieza, but this time his charisma felt different. He seemed more amiable than Frieza, more compliant, a nice guy. For a start, to even get him into the contest and play ball was a difference in of itself. So today we're going to be talking about something that seemed much more likely than our own evil, self-obsessed and ugly tyrant becoming good. Today, we're going to tell you the story about what would happen if Frost actually was good. You see, when we first saw Frost, we thought he would be the complete opposite of Frieza, and our first impressions supported our notions. It was really interesting to see. However, we need to establish some ground rules before we start our story, and it's something quite important and something we like to do with our stories. That way you can just enjoy the story and not be left in too much of a flap. We need to initially establish who Frost is and who he isn't. Most importantly, his status. You see, you think he is like Frieza in Universe 6's Emperor, but that's not necessarily true. In fact, there is only one source that cites him as the Emperor of Universe 6, being the March issue of V-Jump from 2016, when we first found out about Universe 6's contestants. It reads thusly: Frost, huh? This guy looks familiar. If that's what you were thinking, then you're right on the money. This guy is the Emperor of Universe 6 and has something to hide. Does that mean that this is his first form? Okay, that's fair, we get the basics before we begin the story proper, but this doesn't seem to hold any water later on. It kind of resonates within the manga and the anime. Well, if he was the Emperor, no other member of Team Universe 6 seems to treat him as such, nor does he convey himself as a superior at any point. He just acts like another guy in the team. When he is on the run in later episodes, it doesn't really feel like there is a power vacuum, that a powerful empire has fallen or anything like that. Life seems to be just carrying on about his business as usual, with just a cowled Frosty boy hiding like his life depended on it. Our best guess is about this weird choice of career was that part of Frost ruling over Universe 6 is either a case of an early unused concept of Toriyama's, which was either forgotten or dropped by the crew, or said crew behind V-Jump had a case of some sort of miscommunication, or they jumped to conclusions, simply because there was the Frieza connection. He does control some parts of the universe though. What he was instead of a traditional emperor, he ruled in the seas of social media. Frost was a celebrity, a local hero within circles of Universe 6 societies, but he was a trickster. He was the type of a hero who started fires just to then extinguish them later on. Not exactly terrible or evil like his Universe 7 equivalent, but he was deceitful, so neither was he a nice person. In the series, when I found out that he's still a bad guy, he's kind of like Frieza, I was actually really disappointed. Having a nice guy Frieza would have been a really nice subversion on the norm and a curiosity for Vegeta and Goku to see how they would get along, and then we could have seen a noble Frost chastising a sneaky Frieza. It's a real darn shame and a missed opportunity, but could you imagine what would have been if things hadn't worked out that way? So, let's do some creative rewinding and revisit Frost's actions on planet Mayonnaise, shall we? As we had gathered from Frost's initial exposition, the planet was getting severely attacked by space pirates. Already this was bad enough, but as we later found out in the original story, these space pirates were originally part of Frost's group and were essentially actors for the purposes of making their boss look good. But this time though, it's not staged. Instead of them acting for Frost this time, it was a case of mutiny. Being this kind of hero, or captain, was very expensive work, and lately, things had begun to dry up. Their pirating ways were too effective. They had basically ran out of funds to pillage in their sector, and since Frost's pockets of his own were running dry, and very quickly, his people decided to, well, force him to find a way to pay them by opening fire towards him. Frost was very disappointed by this turn of events, but not all that surprised. It was a sad day for him. His family had cast him out, so it seems. Frost, still in his first form, is forced to run away from his own crew that outnumber him greatly. He could have used his final form against them and show them who was boss, but that would have been too easy and also too terrible to imagine. He doesn't want to do that. He's been with them for a long time. He had ended someone in that form, and he was in no way inclined to have the same happen again. Not only that, but while on the planet that he has fled to, he sees a gut-wrenching thing occur. He sees his own troops attacking the people of the planet. At this point of the story, Frost cannot be considered a fully good person yet, but one thing's for sure, he never intended to attack innocent civilians without reason. Sure, he did cause trouble, but he would fix it, eventually. These guys though, his old crew, they had no intention of any sort of reparation. His pirate crew was originally meant to only properly attack military ships or just threaten and scare merchants, saber-rattling, without actually hurting them. It's at that point that he has had enough and will not stand for this insubordination. He decides to fight against them, and even though he's quite powerful, the soldiers are many in number, and he is just one frost demon. That is until Cabba shows up. Never thought I'd actually ever say that. Well, okay, why is he here? Well, remember, the Saiyans of Universe 6 are like the protectors of said realm, and are seen as a just and noble society, unlike the mud hut dwelling monkeys of Universe 7. Cabba got sent to Mayonnaise by the Sadala Defense Force elite. Luckily, for this story's main dude, Cabba doesn't recognize Frost as the leader of the pirates. Hey, you're doing great against these evildoers, stranger. Can I give you a hand? Frost is pretty surprised to see a Saiyan here of all things, but hey, help is help. Not only that, but fortunate to his further development, his infamous and underhanded form of tactics had not reached planet Sadala. Yet. I am Frost, and I am trying to stop these rascally pirates, of course, but I will accept your help, brave Saiyan. Now aiding one another, the two make light work of these pirates on the planet's surface, but the pirates up in the mothership, guided by their new leader Sharbat, decide to evacuate the remaining crew to regroup and then take stock of what had happened and the fact that their old leader had shacked up with the goody-goody Saiyans. Never thought I'd actually say that either. As a result of losing his old ride, Frost is marooned on Mayonnaise, with Cabba being his only companion for miles around. That being said, things do begin to get more exciting. For fending off the majority of the pirates, the pair sort of become local sensations and dubbed heroes, which allows Frost to use his charismatic talents to boost the morale of the people after their planet had been ransacked. For the first time in a while, Frost genuinely wanted to see these people avenged. He had longed changed his outlook into a sort of going through the motions type of thing. It made it so he could detach himself from their plight and his constant breaking and fixing. Now though, he had broken that cycle and now simply just wanted to fix. Cabba is pretty impressed by his new friend's prowess and ability to bolster the populace, thinking that he was a very seasoned and experienced hero. Well, not exactly Cabba. The Mayonnaise also offer Frost an apartment to stay in as a mark of respect, and also give him his own ship. Frost is taken aback by this generosity. Any sign of him ever regressing back to his crew now, long gone. He had gotten the bug for purely being a hero instead of appearing to be one. Cabba asks if he will return to his own planet in time, but Frost gets a little hesitant. He chooses to lie to Cabba, saying that, oh, his original home was destroyed by those pirates, and that in fact, he had just escaped from their custody. That's why he was here. He was running for his life before turning around and facing them head on. Now this makes the young Saiyan admire Frost even more, and so he decides there and then that he will introduce Frost to the rest of the Sadala Defense Force as a potential ally in this sector. Frost likes that idea. Right now, he needs new powerful friends to get back at his old crew, or at least defend himself. For the time being though, he will use his new base of operations on Mayonnaise as his home, but he decides to take up Cabba's offer eventually and visit Sadala. There, he is introduced to Renzo, Caulifla's older brother, who is not yet retired in this version of the universe. After hearing the tale of Frost, he is pretty impressed with his deeds. Frost reveals that the pirates still have something that he holds very dear, a keepsake from his original planet. Frost Planet 1. Renzo's confused. He'd never heard of such a world. Frost is getting a little uncomfortable. Had he been rumbled already? He quickly elaborates, saying, that it only shows how cruel those pirates were to even erase his world from archives. Oh no! Now this gets through to Renzo and he accepts Frost's origin story. Whew, that was too close. After that, the Sadalan Saiyans offer Frost an honorary place in their squad and offer him some work alongside Cabba. Since the two of them were so good on Mayonnaise, they basically become buddy cops. However, this is not the most ideal of situations for our main guy. Frost isn't very thrilled about this. He didn't want to be a painted target for his old comrades, but right now, he decides to play along. He needs protection and time to regroup. And wouldn't you know it, he begins to like his new gig. Together with the defense force, Frost is able to genuinely save numerous villages, cities, and even a couple of planets from various types of ne'er-do-wells. He starts to feel more and more satisfied with this passing encounter. On top of all of this, his bombastic personality, as well as sheer charisma, something that he shares with Freeza, makes him much more approachable than most of the Sadala Defense Force. This makes him a spokesperson, an immediate hit with the locals, and increasing his fame and respect with peoples across the universe. Whenever the SDF showed up, they would ask if Frost was there to help. It would rub some of the members up the wrong way, but whenever Frost was there, oh man, the peoples would be much more helpful. Frost likes to be in the spotlight, but it's more than that though now. He now enjoys simply making people happy. This means that his stay with the Saiyans starts to slowly increase, longer than he had originally anticipated. But then again, becoming famous isn't all that good for his outlook, especially if your previous crew starts to learn more and more of your new good deeds. They felt they'd been betrayed by their own leader. They wanted to go after him right there and then and make him suffer for his treachery. But for now, they decided to play it cool. Sharbat cannot hold a candle against Frost in a straight-up fight, though he is aware that there is one way to skin a cat. One day, he will sabotage his previous master's reputation, leaving him nowhere to go, and ultimately doomed to a life of poverty and strife. Later on, after many more successful acts of heroism, someone else takes an interest in Frost. Champa is seeking for the strongest fighters in his universe, and he has found somebody who fits the bill quite nicely, as well as being very good for optics. Frost is a little panicked at first, hearing terrible things about this deity and how he treated his lessers, but he quickly realizes that the Fat Cat does offer an opportunity for himself and Cabba. It's even more protection. Champa then reveals that he wants to challenge his twin brother Beerus from Universe 7 to a tournament. They both will choose their champions, and Champa is strongly considering both Frost and Cabba to lead his team against Universe 7. Wow, what an honor! Well, his attendant Vardos is doing most of the heavy lifting here, but for these two, it doesn't really make much of a difference from what's being said. They were being called upon by the cat upstairs. That's gotta look good for the old resume. The two friends feel extremely flattered at this point, and they decide to train really hard for the tournament and not let their boss down. One of the fighters that will join their team is going to be the legendary assassin, Hit, someone of whom Frost is afraid of the most, as his reputation is very well known. The odds are that if anybody knew about his past antics and lying nature, it would be this guy. He knows everything about the criminal underworld. He hopes against hope that he won't recognize him. Unfortunately for Frost, Hit isn't all that bothered about being all noble or inquisitive. The man himself isn't really talkative to anyone, and doesn't really want to be sociable with his team or other fighters that were recruited. As far as Hit was concerned, he was merely working, making donuts. The other two, Batama and Automagetta, are much more civil with Cabba and Frost. In fact, it turns out Batamo has recently become a big fan of Frost, and even asked him for an autograph.
It's such a pleasure to fight alongside you, buddy.
No, the pleasure's all mine, Batamo. We shall do our universe proud.
Man, you're so cool, Frost.
The four of them then train together to prepare better for the tournament, while Hit, he's just mostly there, glaring at Frost from time to time. At one point, Frost decides to test the waters, clear the air as it were. Hello. I take it you're not really friendly, are you? Hit looks at Frost and scoffs.
I don't really care. You seem to be having a good time playing the hero.
Just that mere aside sent chills up Frost's spine. What do you mean? Hit turns to Frost, looming over him, exuding all of his intimidating nature.
I know who you really are. I know what you're all about. I've got my eye on you.
Hit has come alive, seeming to enjoy the nervous tension coming from his prey.
I couldn't care less about whatever you're trying to pull off right now, but I have something to tell you. There is a hefty price on your head. That's all you need to know.
Hit puts his hand in his pocket and simply walks away. leaving Frost to stew over this. Was Hit bluffing? Were his kind capable of that? Was it Champa that put the hit out on him? How did he get the money? It's clear to him that the tournament is the only thing that is keeping Hit from taking his life right now. Should he tell Champa about this? No, he wouldn't care. The only thing that Frost can do right now is to show Champa how useful he can be. That is where we're going to be leaving things for right now. So what do you guys think? Do you feel that this Frost feels in keeping with what we first thought? Will Hit actually follow up on his words? Leave a comment below and let's get this discussion going. And I shall see you in the next video. Catch you later!